In 1959, a British scientist named Hilda Bruce placed a newly pregnant female mouse into a cage with an unfamiliar male. Within 72 hours, the pregnancy was gone. No miscarriage. No illness. No injury. The female simply stopped being pregnant. Bruce ran the experiment again. Same result. She ran it dozens of times. Same result every time. She had no explanation for what she was seeing. It would take decades before anyone did. This is the Bruce effect. And it is one of the most unsettling discoveries in the history of biology. To understand what Hilda Bruce actually found, you need to understand something about how mouse reproduction works at the chemical level. When a female mouse becomes pregnant, her body doesn't just start building a new life. It starts running a continuous security check. Her olfactory system, the part of her brain wired to smell, is constantly sampling the air around her. Constantly reading the chemical signatures of every male in her environment. And it is looking for one specific thing. The scent of the male who fathered her litter. That scent is not just a smell. It is a biological password. As long as the right male is present, the pregnancy continues. The body reads the password, confirms the match, and keeps going. But the moment an unfamiliar male enters the picture, a stranger, an outsider, a male whose scent doesn't match, something happens in a female's brain that no one expected. Her body withdraws the hormonal support the pregnancy depends on. Prolactin drops. The corpus luteum fails. The embryos, which at this stage are just a cluster of cells no bigger than a grain of sand, are reabsorbed. Within 48 hours, the pregnancy is over. Not terminated by disease. Not ended by injury. Ended by a decision. Bruce published her findings in 1959 in a short paper in the Journal of Reproduction and Fertility. The scientific community did not know what to do with it. They suggested contamination. They suggested error. Bruce ran more experiments. The result never changed. What she had found was not an error. It was a feature. Here is what took decades to fully understand. From the perspective of pure survival mathematics, the Bruce effect is not cruel. It is efficient. Think about what happens when a new dominant male enters a mouse territory. He has just displaced or killed the previous male. He controls the resources now. He controls the space. And he has absolutely no interest in raising another male's offspring. In many species, a new dominant male will kill any existing young that aren't his. Lions do this. Langur monkeys do this. Bears do this. It is not rare. It is not a malfunction. It is a reproductive strategy. One that has been running, uninterrupted, for millions of years. The female mouse's body learned to run the calculation before that happened. If the father is gone and a stranger is here, that stranger is almost certainly a threat to these offspring. Carrying the pregnancy to term means weeks of energy, weeks of vulnerability, weeks of nursing, and then watching the young be killed anyway. The body decided it was better to cut the loss now. End the investment before it compounded. Become fertile again immediately and wait for a better moment. The embryos were not lost. They were rescheduled. Stop and sit with that for a moment. We tend to imagine reproduction as the thing life protects above everything else. The most fundamental drive. The thing every organism is ultimately built around. And that is true. But the Bruce effect shows you the other side of that truth. Life is not interested in reproduction at any cost. It is interested in reproduction that works. And sometimes, in the cold arithmetic of survival, the most reproductive thing a body can do is stop. Now here is where it gets harder to look away. Researchers assumed the Bruce effect was a rodent quirk. A strange adaptation in a small, fast-breeding species. A footnote. They moved on. But other researchers kept looking. And what they found dismantled that assumption quietly, one species at a time. Horses. Sheep. Pigs. Deer. Wolves. Lions. Each time the same pattern. New male. Wrong scent. Pregnancy ends. Then researchers found it in gelada baboons, primates, where pregnant females lost pregnancies at dramatically elevated rates in the presence of newly dominant males. Not occasionally. Consistently. Predictably. As if the body already knew the rule and was simply following it. By the time they found it in primates, the question nobody wanted to ask out loud had become impossible to avoid. What about us? The honest answer is that we don't fully know. Human reproduction is not as tightly governed by scent as mouse reproduction. Our conscious minds override our biology in ways no other animal can manage. But the olfactory system that runs this process in mice is ancient. It predates language. It predates tools. It predates every conscious thought your species has ever had. And it is still inside your skull. Right now. Running. Studies on human attraction have found that women consistently rate the scent of men with dissimilar immune profiles as more attractive. Not consciously. Not because anyone told them to. Their bodies were running a background process, sampling the chemical environment, making quiet recommendations that never surfaced as a thought. There is evidence that sudden social instability, environmental disruption, and the arrival of unfamiliar males in a woman's life correlate with elevated rates of early pregnancy loss. The mechanism is not confirmed. The pattern is real. We are not mice. But we are not as far from this as we would like to believe. What Hilda Bruce found in that cage in 1959 was not a rodent anomaly. It was a window into something far older than any species alive today. The logic that life uses when the conditions aren't right. The calculation that runs beneath consciousness, beneath intention, beneath everything we think of as choice. Your body has priorities you have never voted on. Strategies you have never been told about. It has been running this assessment since before your ancestors had faces. We talk about survival instinct as if it always means hold on. Fight. Protect. But sometimes survival instinct means let go. Cut the cost. Try again when the odds are better. The Bruce effect is not nature being cruel. It is nature being precise. Hilda Bruce never framed what she found as disturbing. She framed it as logical. The body had solved a problem before any brain existed that was capable of asking the question. It had built the answer into itself and buried it somewhere beneath everything you think of as you. The experiment ran. The result came back the same every time. A stranger scent. A pregnancy ended. No awareness required. No decision made. Just the oldest part of you. Doing what it was built to do. Long before you were here to stop it.